treated and very carefully transfer clean water over here, preparing for our discharge.
And if you transferred the water from 2 and 3 to fill 1, how long is it going to take before you could even transfer back to 2 to 3 to actually get another test?
Well, and that all depends on spring rains, our flow. If we get everybody to take extra baths in town and whatnot, and use lots of water, they'll get her filled up faster. But yeah, it needs to get this above that 5-foot level, close to that 6-foot level, to where we can just start using some of that extra water as clean water, preparing it for discharge. And hopefully we'll know after we get some of that water in here with some random tests on it where it lies at that point. We could have this cell half full of water next fall, and that may be all we get. We don't get any transferred over at all. And we check the nitrogen levels here, and it says, well, these are 1.5. You know, we can go ahead and release that and get a good score with the DNR. But now, if we test it and it's at 2.5 already, well, we got to get these other valves and do one more transfer into our third cell. So,
well, if we're going to need to or lower cell 2 and 3, that'd be the ideal time to put them other 6 valves in. If they're coming already,
absolutely,
we're going to buy them already. Why not install them as soon as we can?
Yeah, and these 2 valves or 6 valves down here, if we did transfer the water out of these cells, those cells, you'll stand in the bottom of a dry manhole, and there's bolts around all 6 of the 12-inch. Those are 12-inch valves. Torch those off, bolt the new ones on, and they'd be ready to use. There is a crossover valve here that's stuck open. Actually, when that's pipes open out here, the valve could be placed in the lagoon rather than in the berm. It's buried underneath the ground here, but may be able to close it. We don't know until winter's over and we can try and get down there to it.
So there's 2 valves leading from cell 1 to cell 2, correct?
4.
2 valves. Yes. There's one at 2 foot off the bottom, and there's one at 4 foot.
So with cell 2, do we need to have 6 valves?
That's a very good question. So remember, these two cells are 2 foot deeper than this one. So there's actually 8 foot of water, capability of 8 foot in these cells. When you do transfer water over, you want to transfer as close to the surface as possible. So the valves are at 2 foot, 4 foot, and 6 foot in that manhole. So with this cell, say it's at a 7 to 8 foot level, you would want to use the top cell, transferring the water over to this cell until it stops flowing. Then you'd close that one and go to the 4 foot one and use it to transfer over. So the very bottom one, you probably wouldn't use. This one, in turn, as you're going to release it into the creek, this one you'll probably use all 3. You'll start with the release at the very top at 6 foot, then you'll drop to the 4 foot, and then finally you'll let your last water out at the 2 foot before you end your discharge for this session.
So the valves are all vertical. It's not 6 valves running across between the 2 cells.
No.
It's
no.
just
They're
vertical for different heights.
Yep,
Oh,
they're stacked on top of each other. If you were standing in this manhole, you would see the 2 foot gate,
Okay.
this 4 foot gate, and the 6 foot gate hanging off the wall. Cell number 3, they're on this side in the same structure down here. The only other structure that, well, there's an inflow one up there that lets the water into the primary cell. it also has what they call a mud valve, and there's a pipe that comes down and into this cell, so that you could use this cell as a primary while you're cleaning sludge out of this one. That was just designed in there. What they call the mud valve, it doesn't work at all. It's rusted tight, it's closed. The mud valve into this cell is open, and that's the only one that's ever been open in that cell. So the whole system has 14 valves, but it doesn't require all those in order for it to serve its purpose.
So what's the next step then? After,
So the next steps would be, they're having a meeting, public meeting. I put the signs up here as you exit, or whenever we're leaving, but it's the 18th of March at the community center in town, and that's put on by ISG and the city council. They will all be there, and so that is where they're supposed to, I would imagine, sell the Sager system to the community.
Will they be able to do that in the city hall, or does it have to do it in a bigger facility?
It'll be at the community center.
Community center.
Is where it's
on-
booked at currently.
What's the date again, Jeff?
The 18th.
18th of March.
Yeah.
So,
7 p.m. It's a Wednesday.
So that's the time we do all get to stop and talk about it. I believe Blake talked to Veenstra and Kim's engineer, and did you guys get him to come to the next council meeting for an opinion?
He'll be at the next council meeting on the 23rd.
Okay, so the engineering company that did Bancroft's Lagoon has one of their engineers able to come and give us and the city council an opinion from a different engineering company. I mean, it's one question that really came up. We have to take bids from 2 or 3 different, multiple places, except when it comes to engineering. You can hire an engineer and you trust them 100%. You don't ever get a second opinion there unless you go find another one and ask for it.
And the rule on that is that those are professional fees, and they don't have to get bids on professional
Do
fees.
you do that legally, have another engineering company come in and help with that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if there might
No,
be rules.
no legality problems. You could have multiple engineering companies come in and give you their opinion in all directions. There's many times engineering companies get thrown out of towns, and other engineering companies get brought in because people didn't like what they heard from this one, so they try a different one, and that's a very common thing to do across the state. So happens quite often.
You know how deep the sludge is at number 1?
They did do a sludge test. ISG performed what they call an anti-degradation analysis. That's degradation of the stream we're pumping into. But in their analysis, they had a sludge testing done in 2021. And so 2021 would have been about 21 years of operation. Our lagoons had an average of 1/2 of a foot of sludge, and it was spread over all 3 cells. So each cell contained a 1/2 foot. The sludge testing outfit out of Earlham, he says unless you're above the 1.5 to 2 foot level is where they start to say you need to start thinking about sludge removal. He also pointed out that he knew as soon as he ran his tests that this lagoon's never operated as a 3 cell, because the sludge should have all been in primary cell, and very little should have been in these 2, especially in cell number 3 at all. There shouldn't have been hardly any, because that would have basically been clean water all the time.
well, we have to clean clean some of that out at all?
No. If we do pump across and pick up some sludge here, transfer it, that's fine. It's not gonna hurt a thing. The treatment of the anaerobic bacteria live in that sludge layer. And like I say, when you transfer the water, you don't want to do it on a windy day. That can activate, stir up that sludge. You know, you don't want to stir the water and then try and transfer clean water over. So that sludge basically sits there dormant in the bottom with that bacteria living in it, doing its thing. And then on calm days, you transfer out of that mid layer into the other cells, your clean water, and that's the way the facultative lagoon is designed to function.
Do they ever talk about adding some more bacteria or microbes? I know that's really advanced now.
Yeah, there, you know, as far as our confinement buildings and things, there's a lot of additives for it, but with standard human waste coming into this cell, as soon as that cell reaches a 3 to 4 foot water level and the sun hits that water, the bacteria begin to grow on their own. They just naturally will grow. The algae that it takes to eat the ammonia and the other things that are in the water all just grow naturally with that sunshine. And the wind blowing across the cell helps to keep the cells circulating and flowing and the sun shining on it, and that's exactly how it does its treatment. So, and that's the best thing of them too. It's very hands-off. So, reasonably simple system, but yet it takes some looking after to make sure that it continues to work simply.
Is there a chance, I'm sorry, is there a chance that we're too big for our size of town?
Then it definitely was originally designed too big. Had it been designed at the proper size for our town, it would have went into production in 2000, and it would have probably operated as a 3-cell lagoon, or had to operate as a 3-cell, if it would have been sized properly. It's the fact that it's been so big is why it's ended up suffering, operating without any big gates working and operating as a single cell unit all its life, and passing and meeting its limits. So yeah, it is too big, but thanks today that it's too big because it's given us an opportunity that we wouldn't have had otherwise. I mean, Bancroft was stuck with one that was too small, and they did have the choice to go buy more land and go larger. It cost them some money, but nowhere near what the Sager system is going to cost us. And their maintenance fees are so much lower. Their annual costs on it and everything are just very, very low. So I can't.
Did you say when you initially loaded that lagoon that you used a storm sewer
When it was originally built, when it was brand new, they used creek water to get that first 2 feet in all 3 cells. So they did, they pumped quite a bit of water from the creek that first 2 years to get that water
How
level.
big issue is it for the weeds in cell 2 and 3? You said something about keeping the weeds down. Is that a real problem?
Well, if we pump the water out of 2 and 3, we are gonna have, there could be some weed issues in the base of it, yeah. So it's something that, you know, if we don't get the water level up in them, because they definitely will, you know, if you got sludge layer there and it dries on the surface, it's gonna grow whatever seeds fall in it. So,
Yeah, did I hear you correctly that if we end up with the Sager system, it's gonna cost every household in West Bend over $100 every month?
Yes. Yes.
So
Over and
we
above
have a
what we're
good
paying now.
percentage of people in our town who can't afford that.
We definitely have looked
They're
at that.
on fixed incomes, they can't afford that.
Yeah, there are so many single women in their houses that, you know, are getting by fine today, but you add another, like, it's $107 a month, plus there's gonna be some more operating costs to every single home. And we're not even looking at what it's gonna add to our uptown businesses, industries, the costs that they're gonna have to bear. We're looking at, you know, just the sale of property, the sale of our industrial land for a company to come in and see that bill that people are paying. It's just not gonna look good for growth from this point forward if we go with this program either. So, yeah, it's,
Yeah. So if we determine these valves, we're gonna start changing valves, we determine it's gonna work. Do the engineers still have to sign off on it before the city can say we're gonna
no,
do this? Or-
no, the valve replacement is totally on our own. That's all, we all own that lagoon, we maintain it, it's up to us. We buy new valves, replace them as we need them. No engineering needs to be done. The only time we need to speak with engineering is if we're going to change the way something was designed to operate.
Okay, so how's that end? So we already have this approved, then that can just, then that's just.
Yeah,
goes away.
if city council says, let's put these valves on, let's get behind our operators, let's do what we gotta do to help them maintain this lagoon, and, you know, people be more careful about how they use their sewer system. That's all in town, there's no engineering involvement whatsoever, and we can spend all the maintenance costs on our own to do all the valves, any of the other upkeep on the property is all on our own with no engineering involvement. The lift station does, if we only were to go out and put new pumps in, which we're probably not gonna do that because they're old, they're not variable speed, they're on and off, they operate like your sump pump in your basement, and they definitely need upgraded. So those need engineer involvement to improve that, the reliability of that system. But the rest of the lagoon, if we just operated the way it was originally designed, doesn't cost us any engineering fees whatsoever.
Well, it sounds like the DNR is willing to work with the community and trying, so. And if you know that Bancroft works, I think we know it works. That's the 800,000.
No, we agree there that CMC Engineering is, the DNR is plenty happy to work with us as long as we are pursuing a solution.
Is the city council on board with you or the engineer?
Well, the city council is, the city council is, they have to listen to the engineers we hired. I mean, you can see their point, and they are the educated body in the room, and yeah, I feel their confidence is more in the engineer than some old Ford mechanic that thinks he knows how to run a sewer.
That was engineered, right? This was all engineered, right?
This was all designed.
It just hasn't been used right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it was all engineered.
The 700, 800,000 that we have to pay to the engineering company, would that dollar amount change, let's say, because we change scope of plan and we just redo our lift station and abandon the lagoon, we're still using them, would that drop that fee down?
Yeah, if we do an amendment to the design contract, however the amendment goes through, the engineering company would adjust
The fee structure would
the
adjust.
fee accordingly. Right now, as long as they can as long as they can continue to work towards the Sager, $7 million Sager system, their 800,000 fee is kind of the ballpark where we're going.
And I've got a copy of the design contract up there, so if anybody wants to look at the design contract, it is up there printed.
There is a full copy of the design contract on the table if you want to read it.
Yeah. So the money that the council has been paying, the money that the council has paid already now can go towards another project, or is it just, are we gonna get it back, or?
The design contract money, the fees we have currently paid, which amounts to almost 200,000, that money is in the hands of ISG. For that, we get what they've done as far as paperwork, tests, flows, loads, all the information that they've collected to this point. We get to keep, should we need it to use it for design in the future, we have it. But no, we're not, that money's belongs to ISG at this point in time. And we will, if they were to change the contract today, we would still owe them for stuff they've gotten done. Everything that's billable up to this point, we would have to pay them for.
$107 a month per household. Is that the same rate for businesses? Is there going to be an industrial rate like sewage rate? Is there going to be a residential sewage rate, or is it just $107 across the board, no matter what you contribute on a yearly basis into the?
It is, for the 400 connections, it averages to $107 a month. It's not been calculated any other way. Businesses, they're going to pay more because they probably use more water. So they're still getting a sewer charge according to gallons that they use of fresh water. We bill them accordingly. The 107, that's just going to be part of that monthly fee, whereas today it's like $45 or something like that. Not sure exactly.
The service fee on it?
Service fee right now on sewer.
I think it's somewhere around that.
Like a year ago, it was 35 and we jumped it a little bit. So it will take a big jump.
Is that additional, or is
Yeah,
that?
is that total?
That's, 107 is addition to what you're paying now.
Yes. So you're gonna pay your sewer fee that you're paying now plus 107?
Yes.
Okay, that's not,
Absolutely.
your sewer's not 107. If you're paying $50 for sewer now, then you're gonna pay 152.
Yes.
And that's kind of my question is, if you're in a big industrial butter braid like out there, shouldn't there be a little more than it? Like, wouldn't that stand to reason? Or?
Well, but just stand to reason, the amount of sewage that they put out is what they pay for.
So they're also supposed to be meeting with those industries, and those meetings were supposed to be this week or potentially next week. And I think that was to talk about what they would be doing.
Their contribution.
What's their contribution
Yeah.
to the Sager
If we
system.
go with the Sager system there, some of the industries are being approached to pay more in their direction for the Sager system.
So if I understood correctly, this is 50,000 electricity used a day?
50,000 a year in additional, there's zero cost now in electricity.
Plus the three-phase to get, which is a cheap.
You gotta route that out there. That's a one-time fee to get that routed out to them. Yeah, there's no power to the lagoon. It operates under manpower. You turn the valve by hand. And
So that cost goes where?
that 50,000 a year in electrical power will be tacked onto our operating costs, along with the maintenance of blowers, UV lighting systems. The rocks that are in those boxes get replaced in the 7-year rotation. There's considerable maintenance on the Sager treatment system itself. And it's working every day. The water comes in and the water goes out to the creek. out of that every second of the day. It's a flow-through, continuous flow system. It's not a big batch like we are used to, where we only put water in the creek once or twice a year for 20 days or so.
Let's say that the citizens of the community think that we should go this route and save money, but ISG holds strong on their advice to the community. Who makes the decision of how we move forward, or how do we make a change with that?
Well, the decision whether we go with the Sager or fix our valves is up to the people of the community through their governing body. So it's up to each of us to talk with our favorite council person and tell them how we feel, so they know. And if they're, if there's different options out there, if that little treatment at the end of the flow is a possibility, and as the council wants to look into it, they put this Sager to the side and they look into these other ideas. If the community people feel that that's the way they want things to go. But we elect our council members to take care of this stuff for us. We need to support them a little better than we do.
So basically, we're putting the power into the city council, and it would never come up to a vote for the people of the city.
Correct.
Correct, it would not. It would, like when we did our petition, that was kind of hear the city people say, we'd like to look into better things, hopefully lower cost things. Please, council, consider it. That's just a request we have to them. And they're our council. We elected every one of them. So we, we do have to stand behind them and appreciate their service. But I think a lot of people don't share their opinions with the council as much as they do. And a lot of it's because generally we don't know what's going on. Is our biggest problem. So
if a vote was
Let's say
taken,
if you'd want to be heard, go to the meeting on the 18th, I guess.
that's right.
Yeah,
The meeting
yeah.
on the 18th, and again, I've been to the city council meetings since November, every week. I think if there was a vote taken today, the Sager system would win 4-1. Maybe.
Please don't assume what you think the council will say at this point.
I'm just saying from my own personal opinion,
Since
it would
November,
fail.
and that's why there's a couple of us here, because we are supporting all of the information we're gathering at this point to make the best decision for everyone. So please don't assume you know what the council does.
Yeah.
I will tell you my opinion.
Okay.
We're a new business in town, and it will definitely not be good for us. Go the art to take that.
Yeah, and things just like that.
Off the ground. I mean,
And then,
Butterbraid earlier. We're working very close with Butterbraid.
Yeah.
I mean, not just what they have to pay, but some things that they could possibly do there that will drastically improve our numbers. All along, we're talking about Butterbraid and everything they're putting in there. If Butterbraid gets this done, they will be down to the same as John Deere and International as far as what gets dumped in. So that would be huge. And you mentioned backup plans, and that's what a lot of people are worried about. Another backup plan is to pump it out on the field. In a certain situation, if we have to, we can. I know it's not a good one, but it's not. And there's different rules and regulations, but there's farmers that'll take it, and we got a couple pumping companies around here, and you pump it out on the field, and then you go from there to make your numbers correct.
yeah, there are multiple other options, and as the time goes on, like I say, there's 500 some lagoons in Iowa and little towns. A lot of new ideas are going to be tried, and these engineer companies are definitely out there to find better solutions. With the reason we're in this nitrogen ammonia issue isn't our fault either. We are sitting here trying to reduce this ammonia level to the DNR's new standard because some cities downstream are receiving too much ammonia in their water. And we're not the cause of the ammonia in their water. We know that our farming community is the main source of the ammonia that's ending up in the Des Moines and Raccoon rivers. But all the small towns now are getting cut as contributors to that level. So those streams have a certain level of ammonia in them now. We can't go above that level. But it's gotten there because of industry in this country forcing our farmers to put on extra tons of ammonia for that little better corn yield out there. So.
Okay, you got one more.
Not a question, just a statement. So I do appreciate like the couple people from council that are here tonight. I don't feel, speaking for myself, I do feel like it's been a little disheartening that some of the council members don't seem to care to listen to, like, I wish that there were more present tonight. So like from the community side, I feel like there are some that it doesn't feel like they are open to hearing these other options. So that just does seem disheartening. So like, I do appreciate you guys coming, and I do agree that we need to fully support, but I did, like, it was said today that, like, one of the council members said that they were not coming to this meeting tonight because it's not a city meeting. And so I don't also feel like that's right either. So I do feel like, again, it's just disheartening that not all are here to support, I guess.
Well, that'll be good because the March meeting and all the council members will attend that, and the public is all allowed to speak up at that meeting, and definitely all council members then will be able to hear what's going on. And Lisa did want to know exactly how many council members would come to this meeting, because as we know, if you have more than 2 council members attending a meeting, a decision could literally be made at that meeting. So we have 2 here tonight, and it's best to keep it at 2 when we're just, you know, talking amongst the community here. And
So, as you were saying, the main reason we're in so much trouble is they changing regulations and stuff like that. I mean, so like, I get the idea as long as there's noise in that area. But in theory, we could go through, we could put in this $7 million system and say more farm-friendly person rather than growing, changes those numbers, and they say, limit waste to $7 million.
that could very easily happen. I doubt they're going to take our levels down, and the levels are jacked up.
Ken, what's the question?
If a lawmaker were to change our levels back to what they were, and we went and spent $7-8 million on the Sager treatment system, and they dropped it back to what it was 10 years ago, then we don't really need the Sager, and the Lagoon operating all by itself on a single cell would have been just fine. Yeah, we were kind of forced into excess expense, but they're probably not going to ever come back down. And the Environmental Protection Agency,
It's not gonna go back up, babe, it's gonna go down, it's not gonna go back up.
that's not gonna rise back up.
How does the city feel that, as far as the maintenance of this new system, do we even have, I kind of get the impression that they're already overloaded. So how are we gonna maintain the new system if we're already overloaded everywhere else to do justice?
Yes,
How do we maintain this system?
the man hours required for the new system will make it necessary to have to add some city employees and give them more time to do all the maintenance. They're going to need another grade of training to learn all about it. We're going to have, maintain backup employees so that multiple ones know how to make it function, because it's an everyday deal now. You can't just take a couple days off and come back and have it operating. So you'll have to have redundancy there in the trained employee area. So yeah, it's gonna increase the load on employees. So we'll have to be prepared for that too.
if and when the sludge needs to be removed, can that be spread like Blake suggested about that?
Yeah, yes, it can.
So
Sludge,
what about the rocks in the sewer system? Is that hazardous waste, or what would that be in 7 years?
the rocks in the boxes on the Sager would have algae growing on them, and those rocks can be disposed of on regular roadways, landfills, any place necessary you want to
You
do
know,
it.
when the last treatment plant got destroyed,
Yep.
it was supposedly the rocks had to be cleaned with bleach before they could be used somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there's a good possibility of that, because they do develop algae later over.
There's gonna be a cost involved.
Yeah, yeah, there's a.
Okay, will this engineering firm, will they support the use of the so-called box?
The Sager system, which is the box.
Well,
Oh,
the little ones at
the
the
little
end,
box,
will
the
they
moving-
support that? I've been
this-
told they said that will not work.
The moving bed bioreactor, we have questioned them on it, have gotten no response as far as, it's a different field that they have to have engineers trained in and look into it.
No, I was
So,
told about 6 months ago by City Hall that that's not an option here. The box, the engineers say that is not an option. That will not work in West Bend. So I suggest the current engineering firm will not support that method. That would be my suggestion.
That's a
It's not
possibility.
fact,
But
okay.
in,
And another thing, we got a letter about salt. Not to use our softeners. What do you know
salt,
about that?
our chloride issue, there's another level. We've never been given a chloride limit in the past. It's always just, salt has always been in our water, our softeners have run, and chloride's another issue we need to get involved in. Every little town is gonna have to get into it. There's various ways to reduce it, as far as getting rid of softeners or using different style of system to do the softening of the water. The treatment lagoon or the Sager system have no effect on the amount of salt in the water that's going through it. It's the chloride level, once it's there, it's gonna stay there. We did look at the one thing that a lagoon has as an advantage in chloride is that chloride water comes down here regularly, but every time there's a large rain or somebody pumps their sump pump into the lagoon, it dilutes a portion of that salt. So actually, it's the only treatment for chloride out there. It's not considered a treatment at all, but we are, our chloride level into the creek now is like 420. I don't know if that's a part per million. We released all the water out of our lagoon this last fall, 3 million gallon, and we did not cross above 380. So that's just last summer, we had a lot of rain, and our chloride would have been okay. We can't guarantee that every year. It's gonna jump up and down.
Where did you say the nearest towns are with the little reactor boxes?
The first one was in Dallas City, Iowa, down there by Denison, on Highway 30. That was a pilot program put on by Craig Just. He's an engineer out of Iowa State University, not Iowa State, Iowa University, who piloted that program. They moved the box around over the last 3 years and have tried it in different locations. Now, the DNR has approved one in Crescent, Iowa, which is just up the bluff from Council Bluffs. The little town of Crescent has a DNR sign off, giving them okay to put the little moving bed bioreactor in and use that as their final treatment. So that's the first full state approval that's happened. So like I say, these things are pretty fresh in the works, and a lot of different companies around the country are working on systems like this that if we can get our valves on and run our lagoon as it was designed, get us 3, 4, 5 years down the road and say limits go down even further, very possibly 5 years from now, there are engineers that have designed systems that are not gonna cost us an arm and leg to add on and make our system work good. So.
Thank you for all your research and presentation and education to all of us.
So we need everybody to come out with
Most importantly, we need more citizens at the next at a certain meeting, which would be the most impactful.
Yes, at the meeting in March, if we can fill up the community center, have our citizens ready to offer intelligent conversation, you know, do some research on your own with the things that this thing tells you anymore. You can design a damn wastewater plant right there on your phone. You can get pretty educated in what other towns are doing. Talk to family, friends that live in other small towns. You know, they're all little towns are going through it. We want to be able to do what we can to help our council members make the best decision for the town. And I know nobody wants to spend $8 million, but they want to satisfy the needs of the DNR so they can move forward and not have to continually be dealing with them, breathing down their neck. So I think that's our main goal, is to have people show up at that March meeting and talk to your council people and let them know how you feel and support them. And support our guys that are working for our city too. It's a lot of work maintaining that thing, and I think they do a hell of a good job of it. They can do a lot better job after they get control structure in here that'll let them do it the way it should be done.
I suspect that a subject that will come up is that we possibly would be eligible for some government grants that would cut this cost down substantially. Is that maybe a council person question, but is that a reality or is that a dream?
Yeah, that would be a thing we'd ask Lisa about.
Repeat the question.
Question was, I'm thinking that part of the idea of supporting the new system would be that we could get a sizable amount covered by government grants. That's been suggested to me, that there'd be grants available to cover that. Some of that, is that a?
There may be grants available, but it will not cover the majority of the costs.
Would you suggest 25–30% might get granted, or?
I don't. We're not in that application phase yet to even see what we can.
Heard from someone else in here. I'm not a grant person. It still comes out of some tax.
Well, I understand that, but I suspect that subject is gonna come up when the engineers.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
And they're gonna offer.
So I think we should think about that.
They have looked into some of it. As far as the maintenance valves and whatnot we need work done on, I would think that's just up to us to maintain those valves. But yeah, grants are always an option, but with as many little towns as there is to spread this money around that are all in need of these same upgrades,
Another thing, because you apply for a grant, you're not just going to get it. And it takes years for grants to be approved. So unless you've got a grant writer who's gonna take the time to sit down and try to get us some money, it's not gonna happen overnight. So right now, what we need to do as a community is do what is the best thing we can do, talk to our council, be at the next meeting in March, and do what we can do now at a cost-effective way to continue what we're doing so we can look forward to the future. We would love more industry to come into West Bend. If you're looking right now at an industry coming into town and then looking at what we've got going on, are you gonna come in here and open a business? Every one-person household in town. I'm gonna be 65 years old. I'm now retired. You know what? I don't want to be 85 years old and leave the house that I've lived in for my whole life because I can't afford to live here. What we need to do now is take care of the people and the community that we have with what we have in place. If it's $100,000, that's a drop in the bucket to $7 million. And we can talk about grants and we can talk about getting money, but who's gonna take the time to do it? And it's never a guarantee it's going to be there. I'm sorry, I'm a little passionate. I've been living this with me for the last 6 years. So I'm gonna put it out there in the world. This is a big deal.
I think you might have misunderstood me. I think, I'm not supporting the grant. I think that's gonna be something that's thrown at us, that's gonna make the plans look more feasible. I think it's gonna be suggested that we're not gonna have to put the whole bill. So I
And
just
then we
wanted
get
the
to come back
people in
and
the
say,
room
can you
to
guarantee-
understand that before we hear it directly.
And then you ask them, can you guarantee you're gonna get a grant?
Well, nobody's going to.
Exactly.
We understand. So that's.
So I'm sorry, I'm a little passionate
No,
about
that's
this.
fine. I
It's been
just
going on
wanted
for a while.
to make clear I wasn't suggesting that was a good idea. I think it's something that's gonna be going on.
So you had said in the thing, in the contract, that there was verbiage that the community was behind this. Was there any community that was aware of this, or was this presented to the community, and was there any community feedback to say that, I guess?
No, no.